My name is Darren Joseph from Welcome to HVA.tax, of the firm where we seek to demystify this somewhat confusing world of international tax and compliance. Today, we're going to do it a bit differently. Rather than just talk tax, 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 we have the opportunity and the privilege to have a conversation with Mick, a friend. He's not a client, a friend who does live that international lifestyle. Mick, do you want to say a few words, introduce yourself to those who may be watching?
Well, thank you. I don't think it's a privilege you having me. I think it's the other way around. But I'm flattered, so thank you very much. So I'm Mick Newman. I know this gentleman for, I think, the better part of 25 years, and we've been on a hell of a journey together. I live a sort of semi-nomadic lifestyle, I believe, in the sense that I split my time evenly between the Caribbean and the UK. Sort of every 5 to 6 weeks, I'm back and forth. And this presents some interesting, revelations about lifestyle and the realities of doing business and having multi-jurisdictional clients, which is something that Darren has lived for the past, I believe, 15 to 20 years. And I've been sort of living it, but it's been more amplified since post-COVID.
Mick is, let me put it this way, he's an Oxford-educated entrepreneur, international consultant. Of course, I don't want to get into specifics of what you do because, of course, your clients are quite confidential. But I think that creates context as to who you are and the breadth of experience and competence you bring to a conversation and a consideration like this. How do you manage the logistics of having homes in multiple jurisdictions? Keeping track of utility bills and what needs to be done. And so for someone who aspires to live that international lifestyle, for some people, that's one of the things that hold them back. They have a challenge, and sometimes it's a challenge keeping on top of their one home. So far less to add another one or two, it just adds to that complexity. Well, how do you do it, and what tips would you give?
I do it initially with great difficulty, but I've become a lot better at it now. Mm-hmm. I think a couple of things. It's just the way I work. I've worked globally for all of my career, mm-hmm. So the ability to multitask and the ability to use technology efficiently, right? To track, monitor, pull things together, it's something that I've just learned over the years and I leverage to my advantage. So what I do is I started off by ensuring, no matter what I did, that there was always a record being kept of my expenditure. And I have, I have multiple banks, I have multiple bank accounts, I have the cards, this, that. The nice thing about it is everything is online, right? So, there are aggregator tools that you can use, right? To pull your debits and credits and whatever together. I also use an IFA, for example, an independent financial advisor in the UK that manages my pension and my, some of my money, right? That helps a lot because I've sort of worked with them and they've taught me actually how to do some of these things, right? And then because of the fact that and I'll tell you what happened when I left the corporate world and I decided to become an entrepreneur. I was forced to learn a lot of very new skills, right? So I went, for example, to the British Library, to the IP Centre, and I learned how to get a startup off the ground and, how to manage your money and how to manage your finances, because you no longer have a finance manager to do this for you, right? I have friends like you, who are tax advisors, who I can come and I can, that's where the relationships come in, come and ask advice and guidance on how do I do this and how do I, I've had those conversations, right? And then what I've done is I've rationalized a lot of what I do and made it very focused, right? So I ensure that I have things set up a certain way, the bank accounts, invoices that are raised, incomes that come in. When I do my self-assessment tax return, I have everything there. It's easily organized. So it reduces the amount of time that I would typically have taken to try and pull all these things together, right? And then time management. You have to block off the times of the year where you have to sit down and do your tax returns, do your declarations. If you get involved with state companies, for example, you must declare. everything that you have. In the UK, we do self-assessment tax returns every year. So those are some tips. But what I would say is try to use technology as efficiently and adeptly as possible. Use, if you can, to help you manage your money and your investments, an IFA, right? An independent financial advisor. That's always, they're worth their weight in gold, just like having a tax advisor like yourself. That's, they always say, if you're a businessman, your best friends are your lawyer and your tax accountant, right? So getting your kind of expertise, multi-jurisdictional expertise is invaluable, right? And then finally, practice. Really roll your sleeves up. Learn it yourself first. Do not just give it to other people. I tell people this all the time because I'm having a lot of conversations with people in my age group who are trying to go down this road, right? Practice it. It's painful, but do it. Do it at least 10 times, and then it'll become a lot easier for you, right? And that's it, really.
Okay, appreciate that. So definitely leverage technology. There's so many tools to help you with your own personal financial management or just keeping track of what needs to be done. There's just, especially if you're in different jurisdictions, it's really hard to keep it all in your head, right? So you also mentioned using professional advisors, and I think that's super important in an era where there's so much noise and it's easy to get swayed by the online influencer that shouts the loudest, even though they may not be qualified and experienced to give that sort of advice. So you rely on advisors like your IFA, someone who is qualified in the jurisdictions in which you're exposed. So that's super important. But last but not least, doing your own research, because no matter how much you rely on technology, no matter how much you rely on other people, you are ultimately responsible for your financial situation, for the homes and investments that you have. So even though you may outsource it, you need to understand it. So you just need to put in the time and put in the effort to stay on top of it. And there's no excuse for doing that grind, for getting that hard work done. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, one more thing to add to that is a lot of people, if they leave the corporate world and go down this route, they're leaving an environment where they delegate a lot of stuff, right? Especially if you're a senior executive, right? You have an HR person, you have a finance person, you have a supply chain person, you have everybody there that you delegate to. When you go down this road, right, you have to understand that you are your own business, right? And the best way, and you know this as well as I do, is when you are your own business, you must learn every aspect of your business properly. Right. So it's worth educating yourself in this and practicing it. Treat yourself as the PLC or the LTD or the LLC, right? And treat yourself as your own brand manager, right? Because if you don't do that well, you will not have longevity in a place like this.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.